Well, this is a video I didn't really want to make, though it was a video that I definitely thought about making. It's one I've thought about making many times because, to be honest, this is an issue that's haunted me for a long time, and I didn't really know how I was going to say it. I really don't know if I'm going to say everything that I want to say about this issue. There may be a sequel video of this video that may come out. I don't know, but I'm hoping that this video will be my first and only, you know, discussion on the subject today that I'll be talking about. I also went out of my way to not really watch a lot of videos that are about these types of situations. I didn't want to be influenced by any particular videos, so sorry, Raph, I haven't watched your video yet. Sorry to Ramble, I haven't watched their long discussion about it yet. I didn't even watch the Council of Geeks long discussion on it and other videos. The only exception I made was John Scalzi's article about admiring artists. I thought that was a really good article. I'll link it down below if anyone's interested in reading it. But yeah, that's about it. I also watched Chaz's video as well, but I didn't really that didn't really influence me though to make anything I was gonna say in this video. So, excuse me. I guess we should get going before I start rambling for too long. Hello everyone, Britton here, also known as Samoki Dude, and this is a bit of a sadder video today. It's a bit of a video where I'm gonna be kind of pouring my heart out a little bit. I tend not to talk about my feelings too much when it comes to this channel. I think I've said that before in some manner. I mean, I'm not afraid of talking about them. I just don't particularly want to because I kind of feel I don't want to, you know, put my audience, you know, I don't want to put that on my audience. You know, I'm like, my feelings are my feelings, and you know, I just don't want, I generally don't want my audience to, like, I want some distance from my audience, as much as I love all of you guys. And also, might be a bit of a contentious video, as kind of like last one of these discussions. I mean, if you're offended by what I say in this video, I'm sorry. This is just going to be me speaking from the heart here. Also, just some notes I got written down here that I felt were appropriate, because I generally like to write down my thoughts. I feel like they keep me in... They keep me in... what's the term I'm looking for? They keep me going. They keep me on focus. We'll put it that way. But I guess I should stop speaking around it. Let's get into this. There were a few ways I thought about making this video. There was one that where I complained about how people seem to just come out of the woodworks and virtue signal about these things. I generally hate that. That could be a whole video on its own, and that would probably be way more contentious than the video I'm going to make here today. Or how we don't really have many solutions to this issue, rather than just shaming people offline and, you know, another rabbit hole I don't want to get into today. Or just me ranting about artists who act badly. That was definitely a way I thought about making this video. There was definitely an angrier video that I had in mind, for sure. But I decided to just talk about my feelings in the situation, because just at the end of the day, my feelings are just deeply hurt. I saw Raph making a video about the situation the other day. I mentioned it earlier. I didn't watch it, but I read the comments. I read some of them, and there were some of them that asked, like, why aren't so many people making videos about this kind of situation? And my answer would be is that, like, it's really hard to talk about. I really don't know how to say it more clearly. A lot of people don't really know how to handle it, or even talk about this kind of situation for that matter, and I don't blame them. It's freaking hard. And also, it's a new story. It's still coming out. I don't think that's going to, that's something also to take into consideration. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time, and then the accusations came out about Neil Gaiman, and I realized I just couldn't hold it in anymore. I know this is a difficult situation, and in all honesty, this Neil Gaiman situation is just a complete mess. There's a lot of messy feelings and conflicting reports that go around when it comes to things like this. And people are going to nitpick it to death. And people are probably going to nitpick me to death. I accept it at this point. So I'm not going to talk about that. I mean, my God. Again, it's a mess. I also won't talk about things like sexual harassment or anything like that because, again, not really my place. Not going to talk about that. And also, I just feel kind of... I wouldn't feel good if I did a little song and dance and then you guys just, like, celebrate and go, wow, you know, what a good guy Britain is. Because, you know, I'm not really interested in that. I don't want praise. I don't want anything like that. And I generally despise virtue signaling in all of its forms. And I really don't want to come off like I'm virtue signaling. So, yeah, fuck virtue signaling is my message there. Yet I digress. I remember when I saw the news about Neil Gaiman, and I remember when I saw the news, I got this real nasty case of deja vu. The situation definitely feels eerily similar to Warren Ellis. If you don't know who he is, he's a comic book writer, well known for stuff like Transmetropolitan, Planetary, Fell. He also did a run on The Authority. He also did a run on Moon Knight, which was about 6 issues. That whole fiasco back in 2020. If you want to look that up, feel free. It's pretty. There's a website called So Many of Us. You can find out what happened there. I don't want to really go into that. But really, it felt similar to this situation because there was an author that I admire who turns out to have done some really shady, bad, very inappropriate things. Or at least are accused of doing really bad, inappropriate, shady things. We gotta be fair on this channel. As my friend Amanda says, Strange Mentality Paper says, innocent till proven guilty, of course. And I'm left unsure how to cope with it. When things like this happen, I often wonder if any of these books that these authors wrote, these comics even, were any of them true? The way that they made me feel? Was it all a lie? I mean, it's even harder with Gaiman. This is an author that I've loved since I was a kid, when I first saw Coraline for the first time, and then I read the book, and that led me to where you see me today. I mean, American Gods is my favorite fantasy novel of all time. I was intoxicated by his unique take on the fantasy genre. And I would still say that I am. I still think he's a great writer. I was just thinking about Ocean at the End of the Lane the other day. And I think that it's, I mean, at least the first half anyway, has some of his best writing, at least to date. And he also was one of the first who really showed me that you don't have to follow the Tolkien and Howard model in order to succeed at creating fantasy. I mean, alongside people like J.G. Keeley, who's a critic on Goodreads, Gaiman also showed me that there was this whole other world of fantasy that I didn't even know about, or could explore, for that matter. I don't know if I'd be the reader or writer today that I am today if it wasn't for him. I mean, alongside other writers and readers, of course. I mean, it's also hard because I mentioned in my last discussion, I don't really buy into the idea of separating the art from the artist, because I think that the author's perspective should really be considered when you sit down to engage with any type of art. Now, I'm not saying... Now, I already kind of made my feelings clear. Or not feelings, my thoughts. I explained my thoughts, I think, pretty well enough in my video about separating art from the artist. I'll link that down below if you guys want to see that. That'll give you some more insight to how I think on that sort of situation. I really value the relationship between artist and audience because it feels in a way that you're gaining a special insight into the author's mind and how they feel about the world when you engage with their works. I mean, it's particularly hard when it comes to Gaiman, as American Gods is my favorite fantasy novel of all time, as I mentioned before. Sandman is one of my favorite comics of all time. Now, before people ask am I going to throw all my books out and burn them, you know, and do all that, and do that whole song and dance, no, I don't think my love of American Gods or the Sandman will be changing anytime soon. But I imagine once I read them again, whenever the hell that'll be, things will definitely change, because they always do when situations like this happen. The point I'm getting at is I can't really separate the art from the artist, not completely. I saw my friend Joe Byrne actually comment on Raph's video about how he can't fully separate the art from the artist. And I don't blame him. I feel I do sympathize with him in that case. I suppose that's really the real struggle when it comes to situations like these for me. I suppose there's also the issues I have with just how people handle these situations. They're so quick to condemn and distance, and I don't really know how they do it so easily. I mean, how can they cope so easily is what I always think in situations like this anyway. Now, I do know that emotions often run high in situations like this, and people always aren't thinking so clearly. They're often too focused on this feeling of being betrayed, and they just have this very knee-jerk reaction. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I totally understand. I definitely have those feelings myself when I deal with those situations. Even if I don't go down some routes that other people might. Such as saying they're not going to read their books anymore and all that crap. I don't want to get into that. I totally get it. They're too focused on feeling betrayed by this artist that they love, and they feel like they know in some ways, and they just want to get rid of that pain without really facing it, at least in my opinion. Though, of course, it's much harder than that. But but again, I want to say, I do sympathize with their pain in that way, because, I deal with that pain. And, I really don't know how to handle it a lot of the time. Someone actually asked me the other day, when I posted on the community tab about making this very video that you're seeing now, about how I cope with these situations. And the answer is, I don't really have a clue. James Ellroy once said that closure is bullshit. And while I don't know if I fully agree with that sentiment, the older I get, I understand more where he's coming from. There's just some things in this world that'll never be solved. Some holes that'll never be filled. Now, some might say I'm being a bit too dramatic, and that's fine if you think that, but that's just kind of how I feel in the situation. I have still tried to enjoy works from authors who have done bad things, and under the justification that I won't let their bad decisions, their bad choices, affect my enjoyment of these works that they've given out that I love so much. But even then, I don't really feel any sort of closure or peace for that matter. That said, I won't tell you all what to do. Well, except for one, don't burn books. For anyone who is literally considering burning your books, they're probably being facetious when they're saying this, but don't burn books. Do not burn books. If you feel that strongly about it, give the books to your local library, or even your local half-price books, or even your local thrift stores. They love getting new books. Just do that. Don't burn books. That doesn't help anything. Aside from that, I really don't have much else to say in this matter. I still love American Gods. I still love The Sandman. I still love Transmetropolitan, to get back to the Warren Ellis thing. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But nonetheless, I can't read them the same way. I can't read them in the same way again. And I'm just going to have to learn how to live with that. Alas, poor Britain. He cares too much, and he gets hurt every time. Anyway, enough of feeling sorry for myself. I'd feel pretty inappropriate if I gave the usual song and dance about where to subscribe and all that. You guys know what to do. It's been a sad month for me, to be honest with you. A lot of difficult feelings are bubbling to the surface, and I honestly don't know how to handle them. And I don't know if I ever will know how to handle them. That's some good Diet Coke. Anyway, you guys know what to do. Subscribe, go to my social media, all that. But I, again, don't really want to harp on that because, again, it's a bit of a heavier video. But I won't go on for too long. What do you guys think about this? I'd like to hear from you guys below. Comment, do all that. I don't really know how to feel in this situation. And keep in mind, if you're offended, I'm sorry. I really am. But these are just my feelings on the situation. This is just how I process things. So, if you process things differently, I mean, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. That's why I do this anyway, is because I like hearing from you guys in the comment section below. Anyway, I'll let you go for now. Until next week, hopefully we will have brighter things to talk about. Bye-bye.